Hey everybody, welcome back to Cinematically, the series dedicated to me talking about movies that I may have missed for whatever reason. And today we are talking about one that I have actually seen several times, continuing with the theme of the Spider-Man movies that I've been kind of obsessively watching, and that is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Now this animated movie swept pretty much everybody's expectations when it came out. I think it was like Comic-Con like 2 or 3 years ago that I first saw the trailer for it. I think I was one of the few people to talk about it, or at least that I saw online anyway. So I'll leave the link to the video somewhere on this. But so you can check that out if you wanted to. But I never actually did a review for it. And I don't really know why, because I think this is probably maybe the best Spider-Man movie we've ever seen ever. And it's really surprising because it not only is it animated, but it's actually not the Spider-Man that we all know and love. It's actually based around Miles Morales, which is the person who took over the mantle of Spider-Man from, I believe, Ultimate Spider-Man, as well as he maybe did it before. But he's definitely not the Peter Parker that you would kind of expect to be the best Spider-Man. So this movie's been out for quite a while. It's had a ton of reviews. So let's go ahead and jump right into what I want to talk about, which point number one has to be the animation. This is probably one of the most interesting animation styles that I've ever seen because it's a cross of several different animation styles, but it's also very true to a lot of what comic books are. It's sort of got like that comic book stippling effect, some cross hatching, various comic book styles in it that just sort of blend together and work beautifully. Plus the way they sort of use like the forced perspective and depth of field by kind of blurring certain characters or having like stacks of different colors on top of them is very interesting. So when you watch it back, sort of how they play with the camera, the visuals, the colors, this is probably one of the best animation styles, and it's just a blend of different things, and it just works really well, which is surprising because if they have different styles, different everything, you don't expect it to just work. This one just works. And not only does it works really well. And the next thing I want to talk about is the references. This has references galore in it. There are so many different things that are happening in this movie. References to original comic books, TV shows. There's even a scene where Donald Glover wakes up from a scene in Community when he has a Spider-Man shirt on, which Donald Glover was very favored to be a Spider-Man at one point. And there's just so many different things in this movie. There's just reference after reference. There's probably a reference every good 3 minutes, if that, to what's happening, whether in comic books or however you want to call it. Plus the unique blend of having various Spider-Men in the same movie, including Spider-Gwen, Spider-Ham, Spider-Man Noir, Peter Parker, Peter B. Parker, which is the Spider-Man that we kind of know as sort of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, plus the introduction of Miles Morales. There's just so many different things tossed in there, whether it be the Spider-Man pulling from two different directions, stopping a train, his relationship with Mary Jane. Mainly that Spider-Man is what we get references to, but there's worlds of things that are happening left and right in this movie that you have to watch it several times just to catch a fraction of them. And kind of building off of that is that this is something that we've never seen before, which I think is probably the most interesting portion of it. It just builds on world on world. It's just so much world building that you can't take your eyes away from it. Because there are different things happening from multiverse and different dimensions, which Sony and as well as Marvel has never done before. This was the first version we get to see on screen of that multiverse happening. And the way that they were able to do it is absolutely baffling. The way that it just blends perfectly together, kind of like what I was saying before. It's just awesome just to watch visually. And even if you watch it through once, you'll have to watch it through again and again, just because there's so many interesting things happening left and right. You just can't catch it all, like I just said. And it's just so good to watch, and it's such a fun movie too. It's so entertaining. It's just a perfect movie. Now, I've talked a lot about the visuals and the style and how things are just so beautiful and it works so well. But the thing that I think that sticks out the most in this movie is my main point as to what I took away from it is it's inspirational, it's heartfelt, and it sticks with you. It's got a great message. It's got several messages in it, to be quite frank with you. There's so many interesting things happening. Miles and his ability to overcome what he's going through, not only with becoming Spider-Man, but a couple of twists and turns in case you don't want to know the spoilers, or if you know the spoilers based off of the new PS5 game. I don't know what your reference is, or if you've seen the movie at all, but there's a lot of things happening that Miles really gets put through the paces. He learns to be Spider-Man. He learns to be an adult through this process. And he learns to make friends in a different way that he never really thought he could before. there's just so many inspiring messages to you can be that person. You can be Spider-Man. You can be the person under the mask. That you can do that great hero. You can be that great hero, even though it not necessarily the great power means great responsibility. It's not necessarily they say that, although they do start to allude to that at one point. But I mean, it very much rings true to this Spider-Man as well. And there's just so many interesting things with his relationship to his dad and his parents, with his uncle, with Gwen, and how he's sort of relating to girls, becoming Spider-Man. There's so many interesting messages in this. It's just jam packed, and it's just the perfect movie because if you're going through any of these things, or even if you're not going through any of these things, if you're an adult watching this movie like I am, they hit home really well. I think the directors and the writers did that perfectly, and that's probably why this movie won a couple of awards, is because it does do those things so beautifully. So I'm going to go ahead and end it right there. There's a ton of great things to talk about this movie. If you do want to talk more about it, let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section down below. If you've seen it, let's talk Spider-Man. Let's talk about your favorite Spider-Man. Would you want to see something else in this movie? What are you expecting to see in the sequel, which is due to come out, I believe, in 2021? Or was it 2022 that it got pushed back to? It might have gotten pushed back to 2022. But what do you expect from the sequel? What do you want to see from Spider-Verse 2? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section down below. Also, while you're down there, if you like this video, make sure you leave a thumbs up, as well as hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification also if you want to make sure you don't miss out on any future videos. So I do have a new Cinematically every single Thursday, as well as go live every single Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Other than that, those are my thoughts on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hope to see you in the next one.